It's 11:59 on Radio Free America. This is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I've got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the line, this is your song.
Hello, Patreon subscribers. I'm Jeff Johnson, and this is a Film by Podcast. And I cannot tell you how excited I have been to get to this episode this November. And I cannot do it alone, so I have called for backup. And that is the one, the only, Deaf Dave. Dave,
Hey, Jeff.
hello.
Hey, man, how's it going? I'm glad to be back, and I am thrilled to be back to talk about this movie.
Oh, I know you're thrilled for this one, man. Dave, we are going to talk about arguably one of the best war films of all time. We are definitely talking about the best World War III movie of all time.
Yes.
And I'll fight anybody that says that says otherwise. And it's celebrating the 40th anniversary. It's a 1984 movie. Who better than Mr. 1984 to talk about this one with?
Best
And that's
year
why you're
ever.
here, Def.
I know, 1984. If you're talking 1984, I want to be in the room. I'm gonna get offended if I'm not. We are here today to talk about Red Dawn.
Calumet, Colorado, population 8,200. Before the sun sets, foreign soldiers will march victorious through the streets.
Get in!
8 high school students will take to the mountains, fight for freedom, and become a symbol to unite America.
Not bad for a bunch of kids. Wolverines!
Red Dawn, rated PG-13. Starts Friday, August 10th. Check newspapers for a selected theater near you.
Dave, I got to ask, your relationship to this film, do you remember the first time you saw it? Can you go back to 1984 and think about when you watched Red Dawn for the first time?
Well, I'll tell you this. I did not see it in 1984. It got by me without me being aware of it. But it was probably about 85 or 86. I was a part of an elite paramilitary unit known as the Eagle Scouts. And we were on a hiking trip, and all my friends were talking about this movie, and about, as we're hiking through the mountains, they're talking about where they would set up, where they'd put stuff, and I was like, what are we talking about? And so I'll tell you this. This is what I love about the year 1986 when it comes to movies. That was the year we got a Blockbuster in my town, so I was able to see a lot more 1984 movies.
Okay.
So it was probably 85, 86. I saw Red Dawn for the first time, immediately fell in love with it. It absolutely just hit my bullseye. The idea that I could just, run to the sporting goods store, grab a crossbow and hit the woods, and with my Rambo knife, just go, survive in there, and then fight off the commies with my guerrilla tactics and my buddies. I mean, that was a fantasy that never got old in my head. And between Red Dawn and Rambo, First Blood Part 2, I was all about having that awesome knife and surviving in the woods.
I remember seeing this. We're kids, like we're 11 years old,
Mhm.
and foolishly, we were just hoping that Russia would invade so we
We
could
were
raid our
ready.
dad's. Yeah, we wanted
Yeah.
to raid our dad's shotguns,
Oh,
shotgun cabinets. We wanted to get rifles. We wanted to run off into the woods.
oh, we had
We
it
wanted
planned out.
we wanted to be Wolverines,
We did.
which
I was a
is
Wolverine in my head.
yeah. I mean, when you're a kid and you don't understand the abject horror of this film and the sad realities that we see in this film, when you're a kid, you just want to put your Star Wars baseball cap on and grab an AK-47 and run off into the woods and shot Wolverines, right? So,
Oh, so no doubt, we absolutely had a plan. We had it sorted out. We knew what we were going to do. We knew where the stuff was we needed to grab, what order to get it in, where to meet in the woods. And we had our plan for when the Cubans would parachute onto our schoolyard. Not only that, but when I watched this movie earlier this year with my 18-year-old son, he had never seen it before. He loved it. And when it was over, he said, I feel like that could really happen. I said, son, you're absolutely right. And here's what we're going to do. And we laid out our plan and we got it all figured out. We know exactly how we're going to handle it.
let's just talk about that for a second. This movie opens with some of the scariest title cards ever. And I say that if you're watching as a kid, you're stuck in social studies class, right? But as an adult, when you watch this movie, it's terrifying because, as your son put it, I feel like this could actually happen. Dave, I feel like we could still see this happening in real life. So let me run through these title cards real quick. Soviet Union suffers worst wheat harvest in 55 years. Labor and food riots in Poland. Soviet troops invade. Cuba and Nicaragua reach troop strength goals of 500,000. El Salvador and Honduras fall. Green's Party gains control of West German parliament. Demands withdrawal of nuclear weapons from European soil. Mexico plunged into revolution. NATO dissolves. United States stands alone. Def, is this a movie celebrating its 40th anniversary, or is this Fox News and CNN two nights ago? I don't know. Right?
It feels very, to your point, it feels very plausible today. And I'll just go ahead and throw this in there. In the current conflict in Ukraine, where the Russian troops have come in, Ukrainian resistance fighters have taken out Russian armor and have spray painted Wolverines on the side of it. And it's like a real thing that's happening now.
The first time you saw that on the news, you had to get chills, right?
Oh,
Did that
absolutely.
pump? I mean, it just pumps you up.
How can it not? But I'll tell you this, though. I mean, in 1984, it was extremely plausible to 13-year-old Deaf Dave. I mean, it just felt like we were living in the height of the Cold War. We were well trained knowing that the communists were our enemies. And it just felt like this is something we needed to be prepared for. Plus, I was living in a military town, and a lot of my friends were the children of soldiers anyway, and it's just like it just felt like this was a movie that was helping us prepare for something very important.
We get those title cards, and then immediately we're lost in the clouds. Can we talk about this film score for a minute? This music by Basil Polidoris. Wow.
I love the theme.
Dave, this is my walkout music. If I was a fighter, I'm coming out to the Red Dawn theme. It's just I mean, I got chills right now. I can hear it in my mind.
Yes.
And it's giving me chills right now. It's one of, I think, and listen, this man has done some of the most amazing film scores of the last 40 years. This is the guy. He gave us Conan the Barbarian. He gave us RoboCop. This is by far, I feel like this is his best work of all time. What do you think?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm someone who's not very good at noticing the score for all the atmospheric scenes, but a good theme, is always going to reach out and grab you. And he nails it with Red Dawn. And it's cool because, when you're talking about a teenage group of amateur guerrilla fighters, it would be easy for this tone to go in a very different direction.